Let's talk about our journey in getting our son diagnosed with ARFID, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. But before I go any further, what I just want to point out, getting a diagnosis does not mean you get any more support than someone who doesn't. Unfortunately, where there's very little services, very little pathways, there just isn't the places for one, getting a diagnosis in the first place and then having follow-on support after. So please don't think that getting a diagnosis will get you help going forward. So for us, when I started noticing my son's eating differences, shall we say, he was very, very, very young. I didn't know what ARFID was, obviously was told all the fussy eating guidelines, was going down that road, as I'm sure probably a lot of us was. We was under a dietitian very, very early, but unfortunately we moved house, which meant we got discharged. And on that appointment with the dietitian, he said to me, if our paths crossed in 10 years time, for instance, I can guarantee your son has ARFID. And as you can imagine, I come off of that call and was like, what is that? So I started looking into it. He also told me that where we was now living, the services really aren't there. There is no support for children with eating disorders, and that we may struggle to find answers. And then this lit a bit of a fire in my belly, and most probably is where the fight started. So bearing in mind, Arlo was around 2.5. So he was very, very young. So after becoming a bit of a detective, it became very apparent that CAMS could diagnose ARFID, but you had to be over the age of 8. And Arlo was obviously still very young. We had absolutely no chance. But I was having none of it. I became a bit of a pain. I placed multiple referrals. I kept highlighting the issue. Things just weren't getting any better. They was getting worse. And unfortunately, we was getting nowhere. And after a conversation with my husband, and after doing a bit of research online, especially on the ARFID Facebook parent group, which has been an absolute godsend, found out a lot of people had gone privately, which I was very fortunate enough to do. It wasn't as expensive as what I was expecting. I dropped them an email and we managed to get him booked in. And this is where he was diagnosed. So for us, Arlo was diagnosed privately. And actually, if we hadn't have had that, he only most probably would have been diagnosed earlier this year when we finally got under a complex feeding team. Bearing in mind, I started this fight for support when he was around 18 months old. He's now 6. So it's been a very long road. I thought I could go to the local paediatricians who he was then under and they would be able to help because I had ARFID on a piece of paper. And unfortunately it backfired. He didn't get seen by anyone else because straight away they said, we can't support because he's got ARFID. So this is what I was saying earlier. Having an ARFID diagnosis does not mean you're going to get help. Even though we had one very, very early on, it still meant the support wasn't there. So going back, I most probably wish I used that energy on actually trying to find him help that would have been better rather than me spending my energy on arguing with services. But I can't go backwards, we can only go forwards. Let me know in the comments if you have got someone in your area that diagnoses ARFID. It needs to be under a multidisciplinary team. GPs can't do it, dietitians can't do it, and that's where the problem lies. It takes a very long time to find a team of people that all understand ARFID, that will all work together to give you that diagnosis you need.